Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I'm your host, Alex Reevy, along with the exoplasma experiencer herself, Sandy Reevy.
Oh, wow. I've got a story for you.
It is episode 310, week of July 1st. Happy July, everybody. Let's get right into it. Starting the week off with July 2nd, Tuesday, Sandy's favorite day, Neptune stations retrograde.
Dah Dahhhh. Is that right?
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, yeah. I'm like Dah Dahhhh.
And Mercury trine Neptune retrograde.
Hieroglyphics.
Hieroglyphics.
Oh, yeah. I'm saying that wrong, too.
Okay. And moving on to Mercury ingress Leo.
Carry your shtick. I'm not saying that wrong.
Okay. Venus trine Saturn retrograde.
Faithful.
Mercury opposing Pluto retrograde.
Tell it like it is.
Sandy's Astro-Interesting day, July 5th. Mars sextile Saturn retrograde.
Work to impress.
And new moon at 14 degrees of Cancer.
Feel into this big project.
Then in Talisman times, there are no upcoming Talismans, but a big announcement for the Talisman of the month of July. On the horizon, we have our July astrology forecast and cheat sheet, an upcoming astrology webinar, and in our house, Sandy just recently went to a seance and is going to share a little bit about her experience. So stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river, wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you.
Hello, exoplasma experiencer.
Ooh.
And the exoplasma is kind of like this spirit that can
Formulate a body.
right, and can like experience our physical world somehow. And so that is going to be in our house where Sandy's just getting done with her experience at a seance.
For the first time.
For the first time ever, and is going to give us some details about what she really
stay tuned
experienced.
for this. I was called.
Yes. So going direct to all you listeners, thank you so much for listening in to our podcast. We do have this really wonderful thank you card in my hands. It's a beautiful texture with these pretty cacti on the front. And it says, Sandy, you create such beautiful moments through your work. Thank you for being a force of kindness and wellness for me and so many others. Signed, D.
Yeah, I know. She's she loves her personal talismans and universal talismans that she has a collection.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So remember that these cards, these reviews, these emails, they're all our soul food. So make sure to get yours in the mail today. So let's move on into the transits. We start the week off on Tuesday with your favorite day, July 2nd, Neptune stations retrograde.
This may not be exactly why it's my favorite day of the month of July, but here we've got, this is the time when a lot of these outer planets are beginning their retrograde cycle. And this is at 29 Pisces, and I'm a 29 Pisces sun. So this is really, maybe I'm doing the Dah Dahhhh for me, and you're doing the what?
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, it's kind of like a,
The suspenseful sound.
Yeah, but it's kind of like exciting versus mine is like,
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a mood of suspense. That's what I was trying to
there we go.
there. That there's Aaron Sullivan, our beautiful astrologer who writes the book on retrograde planets. I quote her a lot. She's resting in peace. And she writes it's a mood of suspense. I quote her as an impending change. Right. So this begins here Tuesday, first crack the 2nd of July, right as soon as we turn the page. And this happens until early December. And this planet is going backwards from 29, 28, and 27. So these are the 3 degrees that this Neptune will be reassigning, reconnecting with. So Now that's March 17th, March 18th, and of course my birthday is March 19th. And so this, crybabies, go ahead and let it loose. Like there's a cleansing position here because it's, if we think about Neptune, what Neptune does, Neptune rules the right side of the body. It's the imaginative area of your chart. Where do you have this Pisces? What can you dissolve, right? What needs to just go right on down the creek line, right? Like right over Niagara Falls, right? So there's something about this retrograde period that you can just like put offerings. We always did that with my again, another astrologer, Barbara Shermer. Whenever we set an intention for she and I, she had these she didn't smoke cigarettes, but she had them, and she would open them up and we would take the tobacco out and make a prayer to the water, right, from earth to water. And that was kind of this Neptunian thing of just like thanking and then letting it go, like letting the thank you pass through. So what do you kind of need to let go of? Where do you feel like you've been, holding on too tight, where it's just like, just let it go.
Yep.
I know I've got a few things I'm working on, but I'm really working on the Saturn. And I don't know that I mentioned that our last podcast. It's 'cause Saturn is already retrograde.
And hitting your sun.
And it's not, it'll hit my Mercury again.
Or hit your Mercury.
But, the Saturn, and I want to just talk about this a little bit if I didn't get into it that much, because I felt the Saturn. It happened on Friday, just a couple days ago. And, people with Saturn moving forwarding all of our tasks, all of our duties, all of our responsibilities, watching our time, setting our timers, our calendars are just lit up, right? And then I personally hit a wall. I got sick, and I had to literally, unfortunately, cancel my day. I couldn't even get out of bed. So it was kind of that feeling of, and this is again, Saturn and Neptune was also getting ready to station, right? So it's kind of this period of time that is like, oh my gosh, like I can't go any further, right? Something has to be let go. So these work hand in hand, right? Because they're happening simultaneously within 4 days of each other, right? 4 or 5 days of each other. So it's like, what tasks do you need to do? And what are they the self-control versus the outer, because when any planet goes retrograde, it means we go internal, right? We go into the internal self of Saturn. What do I really want? And what do I have control over? Right? Because our calendar, our schedule, right? Everyone's bosses or family or children or birthdays or dinners or just the times of the day, we're all scheduled. Like, when do you pick up a phone and call someone just to call them? And don't you have to like set up text them, hey, are you available now? I'm going to give you a call.
Usually, yeah.
Right? Like there's so many things that we have to like order up or wait for a better time. And there just never seems to be a better time. And the Saturn for me, I've been watching it, getting closer, and I'm back on my food program.
Yep, there it is.
So
that's yours.
So that I hit that wall and say, really, what is it that I personally want to do for my personal self? And so I got back on my food program because it was just like I couldn't do everything. I had to do something for myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I ask everybody here, what are you needing to do for yourself that you do have control over? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Right? But you just let your paper, in my case, paper calendar rule you over what is best for you. This is a really good time. And we've got the Saturn, we've got about 4 months for that. We've got about 4 months, 5 months for the Neptune. Just let it pass on. Like for me, it's kind of like, I don't need to, I'm going to get back on my eating a bar, one of those, my Optavia bars every 2.5, because I certainly have not been on my personal control kick. Right. I've not been disciplined at all. I have been Jupiterian. Woohoo! Everything is good for me. Right. And so now Saturn's like, hey, Let's go into self.
Yes. Okay, so let's move on to the next transit. Same day, July 2nd, Tuesday, Mercury trine Neptune retrograde.
Yeah, hieroglyphics. Am I saying that wrong too?
No,
Hieroglyphics.
You said hieroglyphics.
Hero. I'm thinking hero. The hero's journey, which actually has a lot to do with the Saturn
mythology behind all of the
Saturn
hieroglyphics.
and the Neptune retrograding. But this is Mercury is making a trine to this Neptune, and we know Neptune's at 29, so we know that Mercury's at 29 to Cancer. Paint pictures instead of spelling out words. What do you need to describe that you can tell in story form? And if it's not words, play hangman, or play something that has a picture,
something imagery.
Yeah, an image. Be creative and imaginative. This is a great day for that on Tuesday the 2nd. And just as a side note, this is really funny that we didn't pick this day to literally take the half day off and go to our friend's pool.
Right.
They've been asking us for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And we picked this day to take a half day off and go sit at their pool, which is so perfect for this Neptune.
Dun, dun, dun. As soon as Alice runs and jumps cannonballs into the pool.
Right. And be a kid again. Right.
So let's move on to the next transit, July 2nd, Tuesday, Mercury ingress Leo.
So this is the third aspect for the day, Mercury, because Mercury was just making that aspect to Neptune at 29. So just, a little bit later, boom, Mercury goes into Leo. And this is where you should carry your shtick, right? Carry a big shtick. What does that mean? Bold and confident speaker.
Got it.
Mercury is the speaker. Mercury is the writer. Mercury is the merchant. Make some bold deals and into Leo. Proud, bold. Make a good impression on others. Bring them in with a humorous content versus your showy know-it-aller. It's kind of like,
and I also think,
step right up here, right? No, it's kind of like be humorous and connecting in a way that people like you.
And it's more of an attractive type of way to be and present your information. But also with Mercury and Leo, it is a very confident communicator. And so some things that I thought were so interesting to learn about just switching a little bit of the way that we talk. And I think that women normally will end a question or a statement as a question. Like, I really want to do this. Kind of like, it's more of like I wonder if it's ever going to happen.
With you?
As opposed to like, I really want to do this. And there's a whole big different way. I said the exact same thing, but one is more flighty and possibility. And the other one is, this is what I want to do. And a lot of people will start their sentence with, well, I think. And it almost takes the confidence down a little bit because it's not saying just the rest of the sentence and getting rid of that part of the sentence, right? And so I think those little things that we can just notice within our communication and be a little bit more committed to whatever it is that we're saying and having more confidence and sustained fire behind what we're about to say.
Right. And that's the Leo. It's fixed fire, sustained fire. It's kind of has this like drop mic attitude, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So carry your shtick.
Yes. And speak it out loud because you have the shtick. You have the talking shtick. So let's move on to the fourth and final transit of this Tuesday, July 2nd, Venus trine Saturn retrograde.
Yeah. Now this is with reception because Venus is exalted in Pisces where Saturn is, and they're at 19 degrees. And this is faithful. This is big old faithful, but you're faithful to what? Who is faithful to what? Make it a solid commitment, right? Make a solid commitment, even if you try it for a cycle. Now, what is a cycle?
A moon cycle?
No, for a cycle for when these two meet up. So there's a trine here.
Yeah.
Right. And because Venus moves pretty fast through a year's chart. She's not going retrograde this year. She will in 2025, but she retrogrades a year, takes a year off. goes straight. It goes retrograde. So this is the year 2024. She does not go retrograde. So she's moving along forward fast. So she's making this trine to Saturn right now, which is saying make a commitment, right? Even if you have to try, quote, try it for a cycle. And that cycle is the next time she meets up with Saturn, Saturn's still retrograde, but she's squaring. It's the next aspect that she's making. And this is August 19th. And so that you can write, is this a yes, no, right? It's the testing time, right? Because the square will definitely check you in with, oh, I should not have made that commitment. Or, so when you make this commitment on this Tuesday, the 2nd, just say, you know what? Hey, let's give this a try until August 19th. And your person will say, what? Why? Because Sandy said so, right? Okay. Because that'll be because the trine says, oh, ease, harmony, easy, simple things like, oh, yes, I love you. Let's move in together, right? Or something, or let's get married, or let's have a baby, or, you know, whatever, or let's separate, or whatever that would be. And then all of a sudden, Venus over the next, say, 6 weeks, then moves into a square. And the square says, ooh, there's a bit of stress here. That is your testing time. If you can get past that, you're pretty good to go.
Okay.
I mean, there's other testing points and other cycles in astrology, but this is for this particular grouping of time frames.
So July 3rd, Wednesday, Mercury opposing Pluto retrograde.
Tell it like it is, sister. Right? Yikes.
This
right?
seems a lot very similar to the Mercury ingress Leo. You know, tell it like it is.
Yeah, because he's obviously in Leo and butts right up with a 0 degree Pluto, who's opposing who's also retrograde in Aquarius. And so it's like, okay, we're opposing forces. That's really what oppositions is. It's 180 degrees. So it's like you're staring at something going, yikes. I'm looking at this Pluto, death and rebirth in the eyes. Right. And it's like, you know, or do you move seats for an opposite perspective? Right. It could be good or not. It's an opposition situation anyway, but it's kind of, can you see? It's kind of like the book shift happens. Right. When I talk about that moment a lot, I've never forgotten that moment where I was so distraught on something and we're flying away out of the place where we lost all of our money, not because we were gambling. It was not Vegas, where we made and
we had our money bag that we lost. Yeah,
we lost our money bag, and I opened up that book on the airplane. You handed me the book and said, and I just opened it because we had just gotten it from Dr. John Holden, Robert Holden, and I open it up, and it's like, see the other perspective, right? See the other side of the situation.
The 180 perspective shift.
Oh my God. And I realized in that moment, to finish the story, is that $8,000 that we lost was going to buy a single mother for her 3 children. That's my picture.
Right.
In that exact moment, because it was in September. I'm like, she gets to buy
it was really going to change someone's
3
life.
3 children.
Or change their year.
Who got to get new clothes, hot lunch, new backpack, maybe some after school activities because of our effort. And that changed I didn't lose it at all. I gifted it. So something like that with this opposition with Pluto, because, you know, all the planets will, except Mars. I mean, all the faster moving planets will oppose Pluto, right? The slow ones don't, not this time period. So is it good or is it not good? Right? You have a choice. Which side do you want to be on? Right.
So let's move on to the final astrological transit of this week, which is also your Astro-Interesting day, July 5th, Friday, Mars sextile Saturn retrograde. This is one of two. One of 2 transits.
Yes. And Correct. This is why I call this particular one that this Mars making a sextile to Saturn, because these are the 2 malefic, they're called the malefic planets. And they don't get to nod to each other in a opportunistic aspect very often. But when they do, I really like this. And it's work to impress, taking a strong lead to accomplishment, like raise the bar,
Mhm.
take a step up the ladder. It's like take the project to the next level, right? Like the mundaneness of what you've been doing, this Mars can kick you up, or reminds me again of I'm sorry, I'm getting reminders all kind. Well, that's probably my Neptune on my sun. I've got a
Mhm.
lot of stories I want to tell, so you just have to listen, Alex, because it's going to
And
go on
all the
for another,
podcast
and this is going to go on
listeners
for another
too.
year and a half. Okay, but it's the story. One of my favorite movies that I just watched, part of it, with Sandra
Bullock.
Bullock and Chatham,
Channing Tatum.
yeah, and they're
Is this
climbing up. It was like she's an author, and he's going to go save her. The Lost in Paradise,
okay.
I think it's called. And Brad Pitt shows up for a little bit. Oh my God, it's a great movie. But there's one scene when their car fell down the mountain, and she's climbing up the mountain, and he's underneath her, and he uses his head on her butt to push her up higher. And she's trying to kick him in the face to get off her butt. But he's saying, hey, I'm trying to help you survive here.
Mm-hmm.
And so this kind of reminds me.
Oh, it's called The Lost City.
Oh, The Lost City.
Yeah. Just in case anyone. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my gosh, we're going to get off and do that right now. But it's kind of like taking a strong effort that's ease, because it's got this sextile. It says take the opportunity to extend the bar, draw the line further out.
Yeah.
Right.
And make your standards a little bit higher for yourself or, others around you or for your team. Yeah, I think we all need a little bit of growth, because when we can really set ourselves up for that and go for it, then it's such a celebration when we can reach it. Or even we reach halfway there and we're still like, all right, we did good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great.
It's kind of like raising our hands, like raise them high, raise them higher than you would, jump higher than you would.
Right.
Yeah.
This is also the Friday, July 5th is also the new moon at 14 degrees of Cancer. So tell us about the new moon.
This is at 5:57 p.m. Central Time. And this is a new moon. So we've got the moon and the sun. Moon is missing from the sky. It'll appear. It'll look like we only see the sun because the moon is meeting up with the new cycle of the sun. 14 degrees of Cancer. All right. So there's a trine to Saturn and a sextile to this Mars. So, right, because that's happening the same day within 5 degrees of each other. And I really like this. I really like this new moon. And it's just like feel, right? Like feel, because this is Cancer. This is an emotional, internal body, gut feeling. What is this gut interest? Feel into this big project, whatever project it is. If it's a retreat that you want to go on with us, if it's something that you want to acquire or achieve or project or begin, it really could be your masterpiece. You've got two of the two malefics in a helpful aspect to the sun and the moon. Like, seriously. I really like this full moon.
New moon.
Yeah, new moon. Yeah, and I'll be making beads for this day. It's also conjunct the United States sun, because the United States sun is at 14 degrees of Cancer, and God bless our country. And I'm not really laughing. That's like a joke, not a joke. But how can we support our country's founding, right? I know we're doing it the day before because that's July 4th, right? And so that's why this new moon's going to be right on the sun, the America's sun. So really, this celebration is
new
how
beginnings.
Can you get ahead? How can you do what you want? How can you jump over that hurdle? from what was happening earlier in the afternoon.
All right. So let's move into talisman times. There are no upcoming talismans. However, the talisman of the month of July is to journey to self-discovery. I trust in the divine timing to deepen bonds and expand my horizons. I am guided by these gentle currents of intuition.
Yeah, this was the moon, and I picked this because it's got a lot of Pisces energy. The moon is in Pisces. Of course, we got the Saturn and the Neptune there. They're still direct. They have not moved retrograde yet because that's just happened. But the moon is making a really nice aspect to a very strong Jupiter in the 7th house. And so it's kind of like, how can we use this Piscean energy of these two retrogrades of the Saturn and Neptune, and going into the self-discovery and to journey it, right? And to deepen bonds and expand your horizons, but they're from within yourself, right? I just know I'm feeling it. I know I'm feeling it. I feel like I'm personally working too much, too hard, too many irons in the fire. Some of that has to come out, where I spend more time for me, right? That's self-care. Because it's not good to hit a wall.
Right?
No, because I'm a bricklayer's daughter, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Right. So let's move on to the horizon, where we have just finished up July's astrology forecast and cheat sheet. Those are ready and waiting for you on the Patreon page called Chatting with the Stars. The links are in the show notes and description here for you. And just for $5 a month, that's the entry level into this community, where you get the astrology forecast and the cheat sheet and at the first of every month. So you can start there if you want to expand into diving way deeper into the astrological knowledge with Sandy and Susan. That is always a pretty amazing time. So,
and actually, this webinar that we're about to do, we started with the slides and all of the information because we were talking about the Mars conjoining Uranus during these conventions, the national conventions. That was kind of be a doozy, like a doozy, like a shift show. And it's looking like that more and more since we just had it. And we've been looking at it and thinking we need to do 2 webinars on it. There's just too much information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that brings me to my next point, which July 10th, we have the upcoming Mars conjunct Uranus square Saturn webinar. And that is all about this political U.S. type of decision making that we will all be needing to figure out. But astrologically speaking, there are some flavors that we'll notice during it all. It's going to be a little spicy. So yes, if you are interested, if you're not in our Patreon community yet, I highly recommend that you do and join us, because those webinars, if you are a big dipper, you get the whole webinar library for free. So, can
I talk a little bit more about
2 upcoming ones? Yeah.
So when we got moving on this, preparing our slides for this, we got the Republican convention. We have there's like Pluto squares on the GOP, the Democratic convention. Then we've got the election day. We've got the electoral count. We got the Constitution affected. So many things are getting affected politically this year. And we think we have to pull that into 2. We haven't decided when we're going to do the second one. Stay tuned for that. But this is what a lot of the astrologers are talking about right now. And so we're jumping on that bandwagon and giving our 2 cents.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, if you haven't joined our Patreon community yet, head over there and you can ask questions. You can engage on our community page. You can get all of the astrology forecasts, the cheat sheets, and the webinars there. So let's move on to just some quick updates on the Greece retreat, September 22nd through 29th. We are looking for a very special person to join and fulfill this Venus star point that you're looking for?
I am, if you are, you really, maybe not, or maybe you do know this, either a Venus star point that's in Gemini or Cancer. They're the same one, actually. It's just one is somebody that's older, that it would be in Cancer, and somebody a bit younger, that it would be that same one in Gemini. I'm looking for that one person. And how do you know? You're going to have to get on a retreat call with me for 15 minutes, free 15 minutes.
Right. And so
So I have
there's
one
going to be
space there.
there's going to be some very special savings for this one person. So if you are interested, you can head over to our retreat page that is in the show notes and book your retreat call with Sandy to find out if you are this person that we are looking for to finish this circle of wonderful ladies. So we would love to have you there.
And then we have the Egypt.
Correct. October 9th through the 19th. And many people are actually going to the Greece retreat, sticking around for a few days, and then going to Egypt for the Egypt retreat, where there will be a boat sailing up the Nile River. There will be hot air balloons. There will be, all of these.
All the temples, like all the temples. Almost.
All the temples.
In fact, you caught me the other day watching Cleopatra.
Right.
And you sat and caught about 45 minutes of it. And you're like, I had no idea.
I had no idea that Cleopatra had a child with
Julius Caesar.
And I guess I just never really understood that those two were alive at the same time either. I never knew, of course they knew each other, or they had relation. They had a child together.
They were hot and
I
heavy.
knew that Cleopatra also was, she was a little bit more of the seductress, or at least that's how she's portrayed in some historical
but
content.
only because she was beautiful, and she was a woman. That was rare.
Right, that
to
was
have
rare
a woman leader.
Right,
and she brought Egypt through multiple wars and multiple famines. They became very wealthy, but she was the last pharaoh. She was the last pharaoh Egypt ever had.
Right, and so a few of the historians that were talking about her said that, some people say that she was the cause of the downfall, but a lot of the historians that we were listening to were saying that she was the one that really delayed the downfall of the Egyptian people.
20-year delay.
Right, right.
Yeah, and they haven't found her tomb, so come to Egypt and let's use our spidey senses and find Cleopatra for everybody.
Yeah, or find that internal Cleopatra of just being that powerful woman who speaks her mind and does what she wants and takes care of her people.
I can't wait to go buy kohl eyeliner. You know how I like my eyes really dark. I'm like, And actually, what I'm doing for everyone is, how we have, the Western astrology, which. It's the Greeks kind of added all the Aries, the Taurus, but in Egyptian mythology or Egyptian astrology, they're different. It's like Isis, Hathor, Horus, right? Anubis. So people are born during those periods. You and I were born during Isis. So I'm writing all this stuff out and getting a lot of great information from different sources so that I can, as we're going down the Nile, and we'll have a little discussion, a lot of discussion about where we land for our birth date. Because they only use the sun. They don't use Mercury and Mars, and they don't do that. So it's very simple. And so that's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been pulling a lot of that together.
Yeah, very awesome.
And I have some spaces left over for that, for sure.
Yes. And then we are announcing our 2025 Mexico retreat. That is January 4th through the 11th, a really wonderful time to retreat after the holidays, after the new year, and go and get some relaxation, rejuvenation, and learn a little something about yourself where you can bring it into this brand new, Gregorian calendar year, not an astrological year. But yes, that new year where it seems fresh and we're ready to go get what we want that year.
And my special guest is human design expert.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm teaching the basics of astrology in everyone's chart, and she's linking the human design aspect of it and putting gates together for people and feeling and figuring all that out. And wow, if you don't know any human design, but you have heard the word, this is where to go.
Mm-hmm.
Really, this is where to go. And there's going to be a ton of handouts, and she's going to be doing, this is Christine Flowers.
Yeah.
And she's got her, she's brilliant. In fact, she went on one of the retreats a couple of years ago and literally was doing human design charts at the breakfast, lunch, and dinner tables.
So this is like take 2.
Yeah, this is like take 2. She's now on stage.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So if you are interested in joining us for any of these retreats, but you still have a few questions or you want to see if you're a good fit, remember you do have a free 15-minute call that you can get with Sandy, and that link is in the show notes. So without further ado, let's move into our house where you recently went to a seance, and we need to hear about this. What happened?
I told you, and you were like mystified. Usually you're like, okay, get to the bottom of this. Let's go. Right?
Right.
When I tell stories.
It is because you're kind of like, I mean, you can't tell.
You did interrupt me once.
I correct, because that was your experience. I wasn't going to, try and speed that up. But it was very curious. And I guess tell me like what was like the really interesting part
I
for
really
you.
went, I have one of my clients, love her, said, hey, we were on a retreat together, and she said, oh, I'll let you know next time there's I asked her, I said she was going to seances. I said, I've never been to one.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know when there's one near me here in Chicago. And a couple of months ago, she contacted me and said, yes, there's one near you in June. I was like, okay, put my money in. I asked a few other girlfriends, and they're like, yes, they want to go see what this is about. I went to attend and to voyeur, basically, like what really is going on here. It's kind of my skepticism, kind of like astrology. When you bought me an astrology reading, I'm like, oh my God, what a waste of money. I hate this. Right. Now it's my life. Not that I'm going to be a physical medium, but I didn't know that there were 2 kinds of mediums. And this
I'm sure there's more than just 2.
Yeah. That this medium is, these are physical mediums. They can bring the ectoplasm into form through a trance. So we arrive, we get there. There's 27 of us. Didn't expect that. We have to sign our life away. And as we're reading these things, like no jewelry, take your glasses off, take your shoes off. Like
put on these handcuffs.
No hair clips. And I pulled my hair clips out, and my friends were going, oh my God, your hair is so long. I've never seen you with long hair, because I always clip it up, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be pitch dark in there. We walk into this room. It's a really small room for 27 people. We're sitting smashed up together in these chairs. The lights go out. There's two physical mediums in there, and the lights go out. We're pitch dark. There are a few things that are black light, glow in the dark.
Glow in the dark, yeah.
Like these ping pong balls. We start saying, we have to say a prayer of protection, and then we start singing. And all of a sudden, one of these ping pong balls gets thrown at me and hits my arm. And it's like, what the heck just happened? And just throughout the 2 hours, I don't even know, like it felt like your whole life you were in there. But it was very interesting. We sang a lot. And sure, Lord or Lady Narda shows up. We don't see her, but we hear her, and she's hilarious. She's very funny, and she says, humor is what's needed in the world, and it brings our oxytocin. I mean, she was bringing all these words up, and we just heard her. And then she would call one of us up. I got called up.
Okay.
I got called up. So the facilitator was allowed to turn the red light on to get me up to the cabinet. He and this spirit tells everybody to start singing again. And I guess it was the song too. It was the song, the Hallelujah song.
Which is the song that I always used to sing
Yes.
in our family, right?
So they're singing that song. Well, there's a recording and everybody's singing with it. So it didn't sound horrible. All of a sudden, two hands, I'm not lying here, folks. Two hands come out and hold my arms, and it turns me around. And these two arms and hands comes over my shoulders and holds me and grabs my hands and holds me, and we sway back and forth to the song. And I burst out crying. All I felt was love. All I felt was companionship. I felt connection. I felt it was my dad. I felt it. I'm rubbing this person's hand, and I'm like, I'm feeling skin. I'm feeling hand. This is flesh. Like, this is not like I get kissed on the hair 3 times, turned around a little bit, and then patted and rubbed on my back several times for probably about 15 seconds. Nothing was said to me. Some things were said to other people, not to me. But that pat on the back and the rub on the back to me was, you're doing a good job. I'm proud of you, Sandy. And I just like lost it. And I just was bursting out crying. And I could hear all the people in the dark. We're pitch dark, just going, "Oh, oh," like she's connecting with somebody. And then I got to sit back down with the red light, and then Spirit asked what was my experience, because not everybody knew what I was feeling, and I described it, and yeah, and I said it was my dad, right? It was my dad's hands. It was like my dad has kind of big fat hands, but short fingers, and and it was just like now what do I need to believe?
Right.
And then the guy and comes out of his mouth 27 silver massive big coins from Canada that we each got. So weird things were happening. So like some of my friends are texting me this morning going, some people felt the hands going down their sides of them. They could feel people touching them, which was the spirits. We saw these like lightning bugs, like dancing around the room. Some people saw the ectoplasma in the center. I did not see that. Unbelievable is all I want to say.
Yeah, so crazy.
And these mediums literally had water in their mouth, tape over their mouth. They were, what do you call those? Tied with those
zip ties.
Zip tied onto the chair arms. And all of us did that. Like, we volunteered ourselves to go into the cabinet and do that. And frisked them. I frisked the lady down. There was a lady and a guy. And they're pretty famous. They do this at Lilydale. They do this around the world. We just happen to be lucky that they were right up the street from me.
Yeah, wow.
An amazing. It was scary before it started, right? Because the what to expect was, we didn't know what to expect, and we were reading all this stuff and signing all this stuff. Like, things might be thrown at you. Like, really? Evidently, we heard a story that a couple months prior, somebody's chair that they were sitting in, while they were sitting in it, got picked up and thrown. So that person got thrown. Now, none of that happened, and they're saying there's nothing negative. It's not evil. It's all love. But I don't know what that chair throwing thing was. But you feel love, and it's because there's songs that we all sing. Oh my God, it was amazing.
I mean, that was a crazy, impressive song for you.
Oh, for me.
For your choice.
Some lady got Sweet Caroline, right? And some people got Let It Be. We sang a couple Beatles songs. So, woo.
Wow.
I'm still over here going, what just happened?
What just happened? Yep.
So if you get a chance to go to, I guess, a reputable, I don't know about an unreputable seance. I don't know. I don't know the difference, but apparently a lot of the people that were there follow these two.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get two physical mediums that come together, they can go in a trance together. They can bring more spirits in, is what they say. Some people came from Canada, California, and I'm in Chicago, right? Some people came from South Carolina for this 2-hour, experience. But they go often. They follow them around.
Yeah.
And then they just came from Lilydale last week.
Like walking away from it, how did you feel?
Loved, connected, and I don't know what the hell just happened. Like, I don't know.
Wow.
Like I couldn't wait to tell you. So
I know.
I
got to call it 10:30.
You got like
night.
several of them back to back because I'm like, will you please answer? I got to tell somebody. I'm not crazy.
Right. So,
Yeah.
Well, that's why you're the exoplasma experiencer today. So, well, I think
we'll see because somebody said, oh, I heard that they were coming back in 2 months' time. So we'll see. Because when I asked you if you wanted to go, I was going to get you a ticket. You were like, absolutely no, don't.
Goosebumps. I would probably be the one to end the seance early because I would get so scared.
No,
I remember like with friends, we would like stand in front of the mirror and say like you were supposed to like say Bloody Mary like a certain amount of times and then like stare into the mirror. And I remember one time I was doing it and I nearly peed myself. I tried running out of the bathroom door, but I hit the side of the. It was just like too much. And no.
Did you see?
Yeah, I think so. And that's when I started freaking out, and I was like, I can't do it. Never again.
But do you think you would go to a seance now that I told you my story? Well,
I love my Poppy. I love my Poppy, and he's always around me. So.
But you're not an absolute no.
No, I mean, like I
you
feel
were
like
before.
Maybe right. It would be different. It would be an experience for me. But I do get creeped out a little bit about that type of thing. So
you're a Pisces.
I'm a maybe.
Right then. Oh, that's one. That's about. Hey, that's raising the bar. That's raising the bar.
All right. Well, we'll end the episode here. Thank you, everybody, for listening in, sending your feedback, sharing this podcast with your friends and family. We will see you all next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you, the story of you. The story of you, the story of you.